For over 40 years of her hypnosis career, the famous hypnotist Dolores Cannon helped countless individuals uncover past lives through hypnosis, identifying unresolved knots that caused psychological obstacles in their current lives, and at the same time helped them clarify their purpose in this lifetime. Dolores was an extremely experienced hypnosis expert. She researched and developed many regression hypnosis methods. For example, guiding someone under hypnosis to slowly descend from the clouds into their past lives. She discovered this method to be 98% effective, and it became the main technique used for cases in her book, The 3 Waves of Volunteers. There was also a method involving entering an elevator to reach past lives, as described in The Custodians, Beyond Abduction. What astonished Dolores was that she gradually discovered these souls seemed to have past life experiences not on Earth. Among them were souls reincarnating on Earth for the first time, and others who had already reincarnated many times. The reason they suddenly flooded into Earth in such large numbers is because the Earth's vibration frequency is currently changing. This period will be very chaotic. If people choose the wrong path, they will not be able to enter the new dimension along with Earth. Dolores once shared that she had encountered many incredibly strange individuals throughout her regression hypnosis career. From these cases, it became clear that more and more people no longer have a next life, and this no next life state isn't just one type. So what exactly is going on? Who are the ones without a next life, and is there any way to save them? Today, let's talk about a very surreal and mind-bending topic. Who will be the ones without a next life? One day in 2011, an American girl named Doris was lying on a bed, her eyes closed. She was undergoing hypnosis therapy. Her hypnotist was named Dolores, a very famous therapist in the American hypnosis field. Dolores was born in 1931 in the state of Louisiana, America. She began studying hypnosis therapy at the age of 30. She deeply understood various hypnosis methods and independently founded a healing method called quantum healing hypnosis, using regression hypnosis to help patients understand the root causes of their illnesses, thereby eliminating psychological barriers and supporting recovery of health. Dolores's method proved to be highly effective in practice. As a result, she later began teaching it widely to other hypnotists who also started using this technique. In addition to her practical hypnosis work, Doris was also a very popular author. She frequently appeared on radio and television programs to share her hypnosis therapy experiences and some of her unique first-hand encounters. For example, the story of Doris that we're discussing now is one of Dolores's real hypnosis cases. Dolores asked Doris, while she was in a deep hypnotic state, what she saw. Doris replied slowly, as if she was observing something. She said, "I saw many tall, slender beings that looked like pencils. They wore black medieval cloaks, but I felt they weren't human. They were another kind of creature." So, was Doris describing a Harry Potter story? Was she mentally disturbed? Not at all. Doris was a successful individual who had founded many companies that operated smoothly, and she was preparing to open a spiritual retreat center. Doris felt that she had many talents and potential, but she didn't know how to use them properly. She always felt as if she were tied up, confused, and unsure of what to do with her life. So she turned to Dolores, hoping she could help her find direction. And what follows is what Doris said after being hypnotized. Doris saw herself standing in a place that looked like a plaza. In the plaza, there were many people, but also creatures that were not human. They wore black hooded cloaks and seemed to be using some kind of power to control the humans in the plaza. Doris felt she wasn't part of the human group. She just wanted to help them, but the hooded beings wouldn't let her help. Dolores asked, "Do you see yourself as male or female?" Doris replied, "Neither male nor female. Actually, I don't even know what I am. I feel like I'm not like the humans in the plaza. Instead, I resemble the hooded beings more. It's just that those hooded beings want to harm the humans, while I want to help them." Dolores continued asking, "So, can you see your own appearance?" Doris's answer was quite special. She said she saw herself as very tall and slender, like a bamboo pole with a cover. Through their conversations, Dolores gradually came to understand that Doris belonged to some kind of advanced intelligence group. She had volunteered to be assigned to another planet to help the people there advance their civilization. However, Doris was new and inexperienced in supporting a civilization, so her people needed to observe and train her further to see if she was truly capable. When Doris was first sent to that planet, she saw that the people there only knew how to gather fruits and insects for food. So Doris taught them farming techniques. Once they learned to produce their own food, she then taught them how to build houses using wood. She continued to teach them how to form communities and help each other, and their lives became easier. But just at that moment, Doris's people appeared. They stopped her teaching, and then used some kind of power to control the inhabitants of that planet, causing them to start fighting each other and gradually forget all the new knowledge they had learned. Her people warned Doris. She had made the inhabitants progress too quickly, learning things they shouldn't have. Life had become too easy, which could easily lead to problems. So the process of elevating their civilization had to be gradual. And so Doris was taken aboard a spacecraft and sent to a different, much farther planet. That planet was desolate. Doris found only a cave, crawled into it, and became a cave-dwelling creature on that planet. It was then that Doris realized her own body looked like a giant grasshopper, with an enormous pair of eyes. Only then did she understand why her people had to wear hooded cloaks. It was to conceal their true forms so as not to frighten the humans on Earth. Next, Dolores asked Doris, "During your time on that desolate planet, did you feel like a criminal in exile, serving a sentence?" Unbelievably, Doris said no. She said that after a long period of time, she suddenly experienced a spiritual awakening, and then she left that planet. Strangely, when she looked back at the desolate planet, she realized that it wasn't desolate at all. It was actually a beautiful planet, as poetic as a verse, as magnificent as a symphony. Dolores asked again, "How did you leave that place?" Doris replied, "I don't know how I left it either. At that moment, I no longer looked like a giant grasshopper. I was like a small shining star, sparkling as I flew toward a large mass of light. I knew that beautiful light was my true home." Doris said she then flew to another planet, one that seemed to be surrounded by flames. The beings there had large, bulky bodies with rough features, resembling stone giants. Their planet was facing a serious crisis due to continuous and unrelenting light mining. Its rotation axis had shifted, and if the problem wasn't resolved in time, those beings would vanish into smoke along with the disintegration of their planet. Dolores didn't want to waste time. She wanted to quickly identify the core of Doris's issue. So she shifted the topic and asked directly, "What is your purpose for coming to Earth?" Doris replied, "My people told me Earth needs help. Helping others is my mission, so I came at this time." At that moment, Dolores suddenly remembered an email she had received. The story went roughly like this. In 2010, during a radio broadcast, Dolores had shared that over many years of conducting hypnosis therapy, she had encountered many strange individuals. These people had arrived on Earth in human form across 3 different periods, and Dolores referred to them as the 3 waves. To summarize, the 3 time periods were approximately from 1940 to 1960, 1970 to 1980, and 1990 to 1997-2000. As soon as the program ended, thousands of emails poured in. One of those emails said, "I need to thank you for talking about the 3 waves. I was born in 1961, part of the first wave. My younger brother is part of the second wave. He was born in 1980. The elderly man who wrote the email said, "Once, I witnessed a strange vision before reincarnating as a human on Earth. I had participated in a planning meeting that took place somewhere in the universe. The meeting was fairly detailed and fascinating. It seemed there was a committee that decided to open the floodgates, doing everything possible to send many souls to Earth all at once, strongly, quickly, and unexpectedly. I believe this time the plan succeeded, because both my brother and I have successfully come to Earth as humans." Recalling all of this, Dolores hurriedly asked Doris, "Have many beings come to Earth? Why have they come?" Doris replied, "In fact, there are many gods and angels overseeing Earth. They are helping to carry out a great mission, to save the Earth. The current time is incredibly important. It doesn't just concern one planet, Earth, but all life in the universe. Because it's not only Earth's vibrational frequency that needs upgrading, other planets are also undergoing upgrades. All space and time in the universe are being adjusted during this upgrading process." Doris said, "It's not just one person coming to Earth. Many high-level beings have arrived. They all possess great capabilities. We have formed a network and worked together to exert influence, and I'm just one node in that network." Dolores asked further, "Since you have such great abilities, why did you reincarnate as a human to do this work? Wouldn't it be better to come in the form of an angel, with angelic powers, to complete this mission? Becoming human seems very limiting, doesn't it?" Doris's answer was, "This time, it can only be done using a human body. This is the only way. There's no other option." Doris continued, "When I was in the form of a grasshopper-like creature, I had no experience and didn't know how to help people. Now I understand. I'm only supposed to provide the necessary help. Doing too much would be counterproductive. So this time, coming to Earth, I had the faith to do just enough and do it well. After all, I had already practiced many times before coming." Dolores concluded, "The key issue with Doris was similar to many patients who came to her clinic. They had fallen into confusion, as if they had forgotten everything, and didn't know what their mission was. That's why they were gripped by fear and anxiety. So this session of hypnosis therapy was truly effective. In an instant, Doris realized the root of her confusion and vaguely understood that her mission was to help humanity on Earth. Based on her extensive experience, Dolores concluded that Doris was someone without a next life. In other words, she would not continue reincarnating on Earth. Her arrival here was a one-time training mission, and once completed, she would leave her physical body behind and return to her original world." Dolores had met many people like this. Among them, there are people who, upon death, become like a spark of light that quickly leaves Earth, and this light is usually invisible during the hypnosis therapy process. Later, Dolores was very surprised to discover that more and more people were like Doris. They no longer reincarnate into future lives. However, the reasons differ somewhat from Doris's case. So next, we need to explain a bit about the concepts of reincarnation and karmic retribution. As for reincarnation, the simplest explanation is birth and death. Being born and dying are merely physical events of the flesh. They have nothing to do with the true essence of a human being. The human physical body is like a piece of clothing. When a baby is born, it's like putting on a new outfit. As we grow, age, and eventually die, the physical body is like old clothing. Worn out, torn, and no longer repairable, it must be discarded and a new one put on. The process of shedding the old and putting on the new is the journey of reincarnation. As for karma, simply put, it is something a person receives after thinking and then acting, after thinking and completing an action. This form of energy brings about corresponding consequences. In ancient Indian culture, it was called karma or retribution, krama or kwa bao. It is a manifestation of the law of cause and effect. In fact, the cycle of cause and effect and proper retribution is not just a concept found in Buddhism or Hinduism. The New Testament records that when Jesus preached to his disciples, he also mentioned the law of cause and effect many times. He just expressed it differently. Jesus said, "You reap what you sow," which is essentially a reference to the same principle. In the 1930s in the United States, there was a devout Christian named Edgar Cayce. He was a very famous figure with a special ability. He could, while in deep sleep, read what others had experienced through all their past lives. Because of this, he was known as the Sleeping Prophet. The information he read was extremely useful to those who sought his guidance. So many people came to him for help after hearing of his reputation. Throughout his life, Edgar Cayce left behind more than 14,000 case readings, and to modern Americans, he remains a highly influential figure. One of Cayce's colleagues, also a devout Christian, was confused by the concept of reincarnation. He asked, "Can someone reincarnate over and over again as a human or even other creatures? Isn't that an Indian belief? But in traditional Christianity, this idea is often considered heretical." Cayce's reply was simple. That's right. Humans reincarnate in the material world to experience the journey of life through space and time. Karma is the natural accumulation of emotions, thoughts, and actions, all of which bring about corresponding consequences. These consequences transform into blessings or misfortunes in the future. That's what karma is. Karma is like a point system. Doing good earns positive points, which turn into wealth, status, or family happiness. Bad deeds accumulate negative points, which result in misfortune, illness, sudden death, or poverty. Some points are converted in this lifetime, others in the next, and some are even passed down to descendants. The method of transformation is diverse, but it's not about summing up positive and negative karma points to see if the result is good or bad for assigning future outcomes. Instead, they are treated separately. Each part stands on its own. Positive points become blessings. Negative points become misfortunes. These two cannot cancel each other out. Regarding Edgar Cayce, although his name may not appear in many lists of 20th century historical figures, he was undeniably one of the most influential individuals in American spiritual thought. He played a major role in introducing the concept of reincarnation into modern American life. In classical Christian doctrine, when a person dies, their soul goes to heaven, hell, or purgatory. The final judgment determines their ultimate destination. There is no concept of returning to earth after death. But Cayce clearly stated, before the final judgment arrives, human beings are still in the cycle of reincarnation. However, This differs from the idea of the 6 paths of reincarnation found in Buddhism and Hinduism. Casey believed reincarnation is not an endless loop, but rather something tied to one's mission on Earth. When the final judgment comes, that will mark the end of the entire system of reincarnation and karma. While reading the life records of others, Casey discovered that some people no longer needed to reincarnate after their current lives ended. From a human perspective, they had no next life because they had no negative karma. Out of 14,000 cases he studied, only 18 were like this, extremely rare. Doris, whom we discussed earlier, also belonged to this rare group. She had no karmic burden and would leave after fulfilling her mission with no further reincarnation. Casey lived in the 1930s, while Doris discovered that after the 1940s, 3 waves of souls began arriving on Earth, dramatically shifting the energy landscape. In 2011, during a hypnosis session, Doris received unusual information from a woman named Jane. She said she had witnessed many planetary destructions across the universe, but Earth was different. Earth was undergoing a kind of renewal. All life and humanity on Earth are now in a transformation phase, so awakening people is essential. After hundreds of millions of years of reincarnation, humanity has accumulated extremely heavy karma. This makes awakening difficult, which is why, since the 1940s, 3 powerful waves of souls have come to Earth, overcoming obstacles to reincarnate as humans with the sole purpose of helping humanity awaken. The Doris we mentioned earlier is one of these souls. All eyes in the universe are fixed on Earth. This planetary renewal is the most significant event in cosmic history. Many high-level beings desperately wish to come to Earth, even if only for a few hours, as it's an extraordinary opportunity. According to the message, Earth's renewal is unlike anything ever seen. Not just the solar system or the Milky Way, but other galaxies and even beings from outside our universe are watching Earth. Everyone hopes to obtain a passport to Earth to experience this great transformation. Dolores became increasingly confused. What exactly is this renewal? The answer: a new Earth will be created, separate from the old. Those who awaken and complete the transformation will go to the new Earth. Those who remain unawakened will stay behind, unable to enter the future. Some, burdened by overwhelming karma, won't be able to stay or move forward. They'll return to their origin, living in a realm created by their karmic energy. Finally, Dolores understood. She grew a little sad, paused, and asked, "What about our family, friends, teachers? Those who don't go to the new Earth, won't they wonder why their loved ones disappeared? And those who go to the future Earth, won't they ask where their loved ones went?" Jane: "It will be like people suddenly vanishing in the blink of an eye. The separation between the old and new Earth happens fast, overnight." Still puzzled, Dolores asked, "So, the next morning, won't people call the police and report missing loved ones?" Jane: "No. Those who enter the new Earth won't do that. Their mindset has already shifted. Their vibration frequency is much higher than that of people on the old Earth. When the frequency between individuals no longer matches, there's no resonance, no connection. They'll quickly forget their past loved ones and won't even feel the urge to contact them, because they know there's nothing they can do. They're powerless when it comes to those left behind in karmic environments." Jane: "Entering the future Earth feels like waking up one morning. Everything seems normal. You go out for a run, the same mountain, the same stream, but something feels new. Most of all, you'll realize that your way of thinking has changed." Jane sighed again and said, "Those who enter the new future Earth are truly fortunate. But because of heavy karmic accumulation, many people cannot awaken. As a result, more and more are becoming what she called those without a future, or those without a next life. In other words, aside from those who fulfill their mission and return to higher realms, there are also those stuck in karmic environments, another form of having no future life. There's also a particularly tragic group, beings who reincarnated on Earth to help others complete the renewal process, but ended up failing their mission and losing their way. Their bodies become filled with karma. They have no future either and remain trapped in this realm. This raises a big question. Can these people, those without a future, still be saved? And what do you think? Feel free to share your thoughts in the comments below. That wraps up today's sharing. If you found this video helpful, please share it with a friend who might also be curious to learn more. Thank you so much and see you next time. And see you.